All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome one and welcome all into another edition of High and Tight as we go ahead and cover the baseball world in Iowa from the high school to the college professional ranks, everywhere in between. And we have a lot of fun doing it. And as always, we appreciate you for coming along, joining us for the ride. So again, as we make this, again, we keep going into 2025, one thing we want to go ahead and highlight is more of, along with the players and coaches and umpires who make this game great, we want to highlight the other things. And it revolves around a new facility here to the Des Moines area here in Waukee, and that's Chips. Chips Performance has been known for a little while now, again, stemming out from Omaha and others, but it has finally reached Des Moines area, and we get the chance. We're here at the facility right now. This is the dugout. This is the lounge area, relaxing area. We get the chance here. We'll take you through later just all that the facility has to offer, but we are going to talk to some of the guys who have make this facility possible, the guys who will be in here day in and day out making this possible and really having a good time with it. So without further ado, we're going to dive into conversations with some of the coaches who will impact the players here in such a positive way, years of experience in the game and beyond. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and start things off right away here as we take a look here. And as we do so, we get the one and only Kirk Clark joining us here, and I want to say Coach Clark, I should say first and foremost. But Coach, thanks again for joining us here. Again, we got a beautiful venue here in the dugout, but wonderful facility here in Chips. But glad you could take the time here for us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And one of the things that I first wanted to get to is there have been a number of times where I've seen you a number of times here in Iowa. You have been you have had a lot of time in Iowa. You've been all over the scene. You've been in the collegiate level, and of course you've been everywhere really. So I really want to first get your take. Arriving to Chips in your position. First off, talk us through what is your position here in Chips, first off, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I am the director of pitching here at Chips. So kids will come in, I'll evaluate them, and I'll write a specific throwing progression or program for them in order to obviously help develop them and make them better.
And of course, this being the director of pitching, being the guy that's, again, so crucial to what is a crucial position in the game in pitching. This is not your first rodeo here. And in fact, you've had time, you've had your hand in the collegiate scene and excelling kids on the mound here. Take us through, what's the journey like? I'm always fascinated with how you get to where you are now, and what that journey is. Adds a lot of legitimacy, and there's a lot of legitimacy behind your path here. So tell us, what was your path to get here?
All right, so I was born and raised in the Quad Cities, so Moline, Illinois, but just on the Illinois side.
There you go.
Always grew up a Hawkeye fan. So
Go Hawks.
I went from there. I went to Iowa Western Community College.
Okay.
I pitched there. Went to Creighton University. After my year at Creighton, I pitched 6 years professionally. And then I started coaching collegiately at Wayne State College. I was there for 7 years. And then I went to South Dakota State University for 2 years. And then the last 3 years I was at Ellsworth Community College as the head coach there. Yep.
And again, going from pitching coach to head coach, I got to ask, what's that transition like? It's not as easy as people make it out to be.
No, being a head coach isn't very much fun. I'll say that. But being the head coach, I think I've grown so much as a coach in the last 3 years to learn about everything, not just baseball, about what's going on.
And certainly, as we continue to think about this and dive into this kind of connection here, you are have landed with Chips. You're heading up the pitching, and there's a lot to like about what's in the area, but just where the state of Iowa is right now. And I got to ask too, just your thoughts, because you have seen Iowa, you've recruited Iowa for a while, and so what is it? What are your thoughts on what Iowa? The talent Iowa has, and again, since your time from South Dakota State or even your college playing days.
Right. Well, the biggest thing I've noticed is talent's good in Iowa, just as good as anywhere else. And there's a reason why when I took over at Ellsworth, we went from 75% kids out of state to 75% kids from Iowa.
Yeah.
So, and you kind of saw the progression of how much better we got by doing that. So a lot of talent here in Iowa. I spent a lot of my time recruiting in the Des Moines area, so I know all this area plenty well.
Yeah, and of course, along with that, you're going to be one of the guys that a lot of these players look up to, look for, helping them along their path. But I also got to ask, what are some of the big mentors in your life as you get through in this game? It's not without impactful people who have honestly taken you as far as you can. But taken back, who are some of the big names or big guys that have helped you along the way?
The biggest one, and honestly, my main one is Mark Reardon at Iowa Western. Mm-hmm. Even to this day, whenever I reach out to him, he always makes sure he has time for me and asks any questions or gets on me if he needs to or whatever. But that is my biggest mentor in this game.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, who doesn't like Coach Reardon? I mean, right. what he's doing right now, I mean, that's something that you just can't replicate too often.
Right. Well, if you played for him and seen him around, we're all not surprised. It's just going to keep getting better. So.
That's very true. Very true. And you know what? That's the name of the game, right? Trying to get better, improve, and get all the way to the top. But, one of the things that I got the chance to talk with Coach Reardon about at a coach's clinic several years ago, before his new position now, but he did mention that he wants guys to learn something, every day, every week, every month, every year. He wants some lesson to be learned. And when you dive into it here, I wanted to ask you that question. In the end, what's a kind of lesson from either your playing days under him or your coaching days that really you want to bring to the table here at Chips?
Oh, well, that's a good question. But the lessons that I've learned over time, especially this year when I was at Ellsworth, is there's always tomorrow. Okay, obviously there's going to be some bad days, especially in baseball itself. You're going to have rough days. You're going to fail a lot. So you gotta be ready to go tomorrow. Short-term memory, whether it's good or bad, it's all about what we can do after this moment's over. What are we going to do in the next moment? So yeah, that's the biggest thing. Whether we're working or doing whatever we need to do, it's just live for each moment.
And I think that too goes into the philosophy of things. Obviously, you talk a lot about really just the game and making sure that your feet are under you. Making sure you're not overly, don't get too high, get too low. This is a game, though, here, Coach, that it's all about emotions, and sometimes those emotions come after 4 innings, and then you get emotions there. How do you manage those emotions, really, as a coach, and how do you take that into pitching when you got guys like Anthony Watts I see walking by here? He brings the emotion to the table, and it's electric. What do you talk to guys who are still learning that? Still trying to build that emotion, not get too carried away, because we can see what happens when people get too carried away, I guess.
Right. Well, the thing with emotion, it's game changing. If you can bring some type of an emotion, like it's going to be a big thing for your program, but also you need to bring it at the right time, because if it's too early, somebody can easily rally back from that. So I always like to save it for the end. I go, you want to cheer, make sure we know we're in a good position to do things. And obviously with Anthony Watson here, it's awesome that he's in here training and everything. Yeah. But obviously he'll tell you the same thing. He's going to obviously bring in some emotion, and hopefully it's when the game is over, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's the best emotion.
With this there's so much in the game nowadays, I feel, that comes at players left and right. There's a lot of, obviously, social media's out there. A lot of things are going on. But one thing that I think is a key factor, having that confidence. You see guys go from, honestly, struggling to, all worldly here. When you get somebody, and I think pitching confidence is a little bit different because, you're in control of the game at that point. Right? You're the guy that, you're like the quarterback at that point. Whatever comes next is dictated off of your actions.
Yep.
So when you see guys kind of struggling, kids are, especially at this age, what's the message you get in there? I know there's situational messages. I know there's weekly messages, all that stuff. But if you get a guy coming in struggling, not really up to where he should be, what is the message, I guess, overall to them? How do you calm a guy like that down, knowing, as we just talked about, emotions can be everywhere?
Right. Well, it just depends on each kid. Usually, kids will take whatever happens to that day to the mound with them or to wherever with them. So I always usually like to say, just leave that where it is. When you walk into, whether it's in here or on the baseball field, leave everything else, because the only thing that matters right now is this. And with emotions and kids being able to manage emotions, is just honestly getting to know them on a personal level. To me, if you don't know a kid personally, then you can't coach them the correct way, because everybody's different. So it's kind of just knowing what's going on in their head and what's going on in their lives, and then that usually makes baseball a lot easier.
Oh man, gosh. And it kind of fits that philosophy. We talked with Alex Hale not too long ago about meeting where they're at.
Right.
This is baseball brings such a diversity of guys to the table here. It can, I bet it can almost be mind numbing with all the different arm angles you get. Sometimes just the differences in how they approach just the mental side of the game as well here. But it really does highlight, and I want to get your take on here as you come to Chips. He talked about meeting kids where they're at.
Right.
And when you talk on the mound side of things, that can be, it makes a lot of sense, especially with pitching. I know it does in the overall grand scheme of things, but, so many pitchers develop differently, and I think that's a good mindset to have when all is said and done. And I think if I'm not mistaken here, Coach, I think it brings a little bit deeper impact when it has to come with the guy on the mound.
Right. Well, these kids aren't just baseball players; they're human beings just like us too, and they go through things just like how we go through things. And if you can meet them and know what's going on in their lives, like the baseball stuff, again, is the easiest kind. So like when I work with kids, I'm going to know who they're dating. I'm going to know what their favorite food is. Like I'm going to know who their favorite sports team is, just because I think that's just relationship. And once we build a bond, then I think it's a lot of the baseball thing just comes easy.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about that. But, as you try and get guys to make this game easy, which is really hard,
right?
Despite batters trying to hit a round ball with a round bat, which that's hard enough. You got pitchers out there trying to find a way to get some of the best hitters out there trying to strike them out or just get them out in the first place. One thing that I really enjoy here is, even coming into the facility, I see all the tech that is available,
right?
All the things that are here, and I wanted to get your take on one of that. What are some of the big things that you guys use on the pitching side of things when you get up there? And again, what can players expect coming into this type of program, especially on the pitching side of things?
Yeah, just background on pitching. So I'm actually a full driveline guy, so that's usually the type of stuff that we're going to focus on. And then once we get into pins and stuff, we have the TrackMan, which is going to tell us what pitches you should throw based off your fastball and stuff.
Yep.
So we can track what pitches you think are good, but then we'll show you what pitches are actually good. So a lot of people have misconception on what pitches they have that are good and aren't good, and so on and so forth. But as far as developing and all that other stuff, I'm a big driveline guy. That's what I've known. That's what I've seen work, and that's what I'm doing here. So.
Yeah, absolutely. There's just so many angles, so many ways that when you get to Chips that you can be covered as a pitcher. Literally 360 angles, you get everything covered. But from the win reality side of things, there's virtual side of things. You get here And you can, as you get ready, get focused, get warmed up, get in your stuff. I mean, this truly is a place that you can get lost in a good way for, 5 to 6 hours at a time.
Right. It reminds me of when I went from the Division II level coaching to the Division I. Division I had this thing called Synergy, and it was just came out, but it breaks down every single pitch of every single game and has all the statistics. And I just remember after a week, I was probably on Synergy for 40 hours that week. Just like I couldn't believe all the technology that was bestowed on me. So
man, and it's just a wealth of riches, so to speak, in the best way possible. This facility, obviously, love where it is, and again, it just brings a whole a calm vibe, a baseball vibe. Everything here really seems like it's absolutely to a T. And as we kind of wrap things up here, I also had to mention that you get the chance, and when kids are looking to elevate their game here, which is what they're going to get here. You mentioned the different things that they're going to be able to see, and all the different things that they'll be getting here. So, in what way as we try to understand that, what excites you most about the integration here that CHIPS has, and how it impacts the development of guys? Not just everybody wants to get to that, the ending, the flashy ending,
right,
where it's all, hey, we're here, but they don't want to know how the meat is made, or so to speak, in the process here. But again, how do what excites you most about the integration that we have here, and how it will impact the development going forward?
Well, my biggest thing is I just love working with guys, and obviously baseball, like that's my favorite part of all of this. So being able to help kids achieve their goals and their dreams, that's my goals. That's my goals now as a coach and everything. So I've already lived mine. I'm done. I'm washed up. But it's all about the kids now, and I'm here to do my best to help develop kids and make them better.
No doubt about that. And of course, when you look at this, as I get my question set right, I had it all here ready, and then it just goes off me. But let's see here. All right. So what ways, again, as we look at that tech here, as we elevate things, I mean, when you use the TrackMan, when you use DriveLine, when you use that thing, when you use those sort of things in context, which you'll see plenty of here at CHIPS, how do you explain the tech data and the athletes and parents? How can they understand it? I know that sometimes you get here and we talk about TrackMan, DriveLine, and we can sit here and have that conversation of it, but I know that mom and dad may come in here and wonder, okay, what is that exactly doing? You guys have been very transparent about why it's needed, why it's here.
Right.
And so from the pitching side of things, how do you explain all that tech data to the parents and help them be integrated with it as well?
Well, the biggest thing that we're going to teach your kid is how to move more efficiently, especially from the pitching side of things, like just.
Yeah.
Well, we're just going to teach them how to move more efficiently.
Yep.
And obviously with mechanics and those things like the camera breakdowns and so on and so forth, where they get to certain points of their throwing motion, whatever it may be. But we're here to dissect all that data and kind of come up with a solution in order to them being more athletic or throwing harder or so on and so forth.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And then when you talk about adjustments in the game here, there's so many adjustments being made, but in the end, how do you adjust programming based on what you're seeing from the guys? I mean, that can vary so much, guy to guy, one pitch to the next. But what are the steps you do? How do you adjust based off of what you're seeing with the tech you have?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Obviously, we get them to throw in front of cameras, and then I get them on the radar gun and just show what's going on. Is their front hip leaking open? Is their arm leaking open? So on and so forth. So really just break down things mechanically, and then just seeing where they're at pitch-wise on the TrackMan and everything, because that'll pretty much show me everything that I need to really focus on and how they're moving and such. So
it does seem like it's all part of one kinetic chain, so to speak.
100%.
And one thing can go off. And if I'm mistaken here, it just seems like again, this game makes it so hard. One little thing you go off. You mentioned, hips flying open, your hand flying open a little bit. It seems like one little thing, and this isn't meant to scare anybody.
Right.
It's just what you guys analyze to a T, break down hours of film and looking at it to make sure that they don't have this happen here. But it just seems like in the sport of pitching, there's a reason why I'm not pitching.
Well,
there's a reason why, not everybody is excelling at it, and that there are only a few in the grand scheme who can.
Right. Well, there's just a lot of kids don't throw like plyos the correct way. They just see it, and just a lot of kids just don't do things the correct way. So I think that's why driveline or velo programs or whatever kind of get bad names all the time, is because kids just kind of do it on themselves. So that's a big thing for me, is like mechanically I have to show the kids, hey, this is what we're doing. This is how we do it. Okay, we got to keep our arm tight, and so on and so forth. There's just a lot of small things that kind of go into making kids obviously blow up and develop.
Yeah.
So.
Well, certainly, can't wait to see how that continues here. Again, the early goings here, Chip, and man, there's a lot to take in. And certainly, Coach, we appreciate and look forward to many more conversations as we go through. Wonderful facility, and just the atmosphere already seems like it's at a top-notch 100%.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, make sure to check out more about that. We have more conversations from Chip's facility here, more great coaches and more great conversations. And by the way, get involved here, get signed up. It's well worth it. So many different things we'll take you through as we go through. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in, and we'll have more coming on up later.